right, Miriam. Let's have an all is well this morning.
And all is well.
All is well for Goldie's Department Store, and another all is well for Jimmy the Greek, if you wouldn't mind.
And all is well, Jimmy, and thank you for coming in.
Yeah, Jimmy, we're going to ask you to help in the family relations seminar here where people call in. I know football is your field, but certainly there's been romance in your life and probably still is. Am I right?
I hope so.
I would certainly hate to think a life without romance would be a man and a good meal without a good cigar. Why did I say that?
Well, it's romance on the football field, too.
Well, but we don't usually talk about that, Miss Blue, actually. You've seen Jimmy the Greek on the radio.
Of course.
Talking about...
I've seen Jimmy the Greek on the radio.
Yeah, picking football teams and telling us who's...
Analyzing football teams.
Analyzing.
There's
Picking is a bad term.
No, but I don't pick. I just analyze the game.
Analyze the
That's
game.
the difference.
You must have tremendous sources of minute-by-minute information from all over the country to know, because I know how quickly something can develop in a situation. A guy gets a hamstring muscle the day before the game or something. You must be able to...
Or like Peyton going to the hospital Thursday.
All right.
With 102 temperature.
Where does your information come from?
Oh, we have 19 people who work for us around the United States.
And they're in touch with the clubs, legitimately in touch with the clubs.
Well, most of them are connected with the papers,
Uh-huh.
with the newspaper of some sort, or old-time scouts
Mhm.
that have been with me for a long time.
It's strange to think 43 players to a team, isn't that it? 86 players, which really control which are the 86 factors that have, plus the coaches that have to do with the outcome of a game. And it can hinge on one man so often, one man's physical feelings, or even one man's attitude. Couldn't it be that a divorce action out of the clear blue sky could put a key man in such a position that it could affect the football game?
You bring up a very, very good point. The difference between ball players, 99% of them really, is like maybe 2%. You see, there are the phenoms on each club. You have Deerdorf and Dobler, and Hart and Metcalf. I mean, you got 4 or 5 players on each team that wouldn't be traded or sold. They're the nucleus of the ball club. The rest of the ball club, I mean, with the opposition, there's hardly a difference. We'll say 1.5 or 2%.
Mhm.
But that 2%, of course, is equivalent to maybe a touchdown in certain places. But that divorce, a bad cup of coffee, an argument with his wife, his mental attitude on that particular Sunday, I mean, and the other fellow is better than he is.
Yeah. Youngster goes to the hospital.
Sure.
Appendix, and boom. The fella's out there trying to concentrate, and concentration is so important, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. You better keep your and it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't, whatever phase of life you're in or whatever work you do, concentration is number one.
I read somewhere that to hit the perfect golf shot, 120-some muscles had to do the right thing in your body at exactly the right time. And, of course, you'd multiply that times thousands or hundreds of thousands in a football game, doing the right thing, making the right moves, being sharp, being ready. Yeah, it's a tricky business figuring who's going to beat who.
Yes, not only that, but it used to be an offense, a defense, plus a quarterback on each side. And then, of course, they added defenses and offenses, and then they came up with special teams, and then you got to keep up. Now they got a first down defense, a second down defense, a third down defense, a first round offense. I mean, it has become a total science. I mean, you practically need a computer to keep up with it.
Do you use a computer? Do you use any kind of electronic help?
Yes, a Greek computer.
You. With a cigar.
Yes.
Well, Miriam, I think we brought the ideal man in today to deal with problems, affairs of the heart, as it were. I'm going to open the phone lines, dear. If you're not...
Before you start that, I want you to know one thing.
What's that?
My wife hasn't spoken to me for 6 weeks, so don't.
I think we made a mistake, Miriam, but it's too late. We've got him here.
No, I think we got it right, because this will put them back together. She will be talking to him. Is she listening to us?
Well, she's in Evansville, Indiana.
Well, she's listening to us.
She could be listening in Evansville.
Yeah, so
Let's call her up and turn it on.
She will be talking because she wants to know what did she mean,
Yeah.
So you know how we women are.
Wait a minute, Jane. Is there anything you'd like to tell Miss Blue? Perhaps she could help you before we go on the air. I mean, we're on the air, but before...
Well, I'm into, I've only been married for 26 years.
Yeah.
That's all.
What's the problem?
You would like to have me home more often.
You're gone too much.
Yeah.
Miriam, what do you think about that?
Well, after 26 years, every once in a while, how wife is, she'll figure, well, why doesn't Jimmy come home and stay a while?
Right.
And so if Jimmy would go home and stay a while, then she would tell him, Jimmy, would you please hit the door?
Yeah.
Miss
Never
Blue,
happy.
where do I send the bills, though? That's the next question.
You would think after 26 years, though, there'd be no more surprises. She'd be accustomed to this. You're traveling on business, actually.
Well, the last 4 years have been sort of travel, much more travel than I've ever done before.
But it's business. I mean, you're out there working to put bread on the table. You don't fool around.
I'm married, but I cheat on occasion.
Oh, Miss Blue, there's your key right there.
Well, at least he's
No, I'm just joking about that.
Yeah, I believe him. Let's go to our first caller today. Hello, do you have a question for Miss Blue or for Jimmy the Greek? Hello?
Yes, I'd like Miss Blue to wish me an all is well. Today's our 15th wedding anniversary.
15th wedding anniversary. Would you like to know the odds on your making 25?
Yes, I sure would.
Send her an all is well. Miss
And
Blue.
all is well. And let us know when the 25th one come up, and we will wish you another. All
It'll
is
be
well.
10 years from now. Even I know that. Are the first 15 the toughest, Miriam? I mean, do you think?
Oh, no, that's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
That's it.
Now, just like Jimmy just said, I mean, the first 26.
Right.
Now he's going into, the 27.
Right.
Now he's really settling down.
Settling down.
Yeah.
Okay, our next caller. Do you have a question for Miss Blue or for Jimmy the Greek? Hello?
I have a problem, Miss Blue, because there's people that keep making Missouri Tigers the favorites against Kansas every year, and we lose. And I just want to know how in the world we can get this guy out in Vegas to make Kansas a favorite so that Missouri can win that game.
Oh, well, let's check into that. First of all, Jimmy doesn't live in Las Vegas anymore, do you?
No, I don't.
No. Now, what about the Missouri-Kansas situation? Have you consistently been picking Missouri?
When they're supposed to be picked.
Yeah.
Or when they're
It
supposed
hasn't
to
helped
be
them
picked.
any in recent
Well, I apologize
Yeah.
for it. Maybe if they'd keep their heads up a little bit more on Saturdays, it'd be better.
That could never hurt. Good. Hello? Did you have a question for Miss Blue?
Yes, I did, Jack. Since
Yeah.
we're so close to Thanksgiving,
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to mention how thankful I am that I had such a wonderful father. Having lost my mother at a very young age and leaving 6 children, the age of 3 months to 8 years, my father, I know, did a very beautiful job.
Mhm. Is your father still alive today?
He passed away about, going on 4 years. He lived to be 89.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when my children come along, I try to raise my children the way my father raised us.
Mm-hmm.
And once every now and then, they will say, Mom, I'm glad you had me do this or do that. So really, it really does something to you that in their later years, they will thank you for having you, do chores and things like that, where at the time they really regret it. But as they get older, they realize that it was the right thing.
Uh-huh. Well, that's really a very nice thought. Thank you on this day very close
It
to
is.
Thanksgiving,
And
Miriam.
give thanks for it.
We have a lot to be thankful for. I'm sure all of us do. Hello?
Yes, I'd like to know if it's proper or in good taste to go to the football game, like the Sunday's game, and then boo a team that you're supposed to be rooting for at the end of the first half, and in fact, going further than that, get back on the radio the next day and say how much you enjoyed the team and enjoyed the game, and yet you were probably one of the participants.
Who, me?
Was it you, sir?
I never booed the Cardinals in my entire life.
Well, there were sure a lot of them out there Sunday that did.
Well, I won't argue that point, but
Is that
you can't
proper?
include me in that group.
Is that proper?
Well, I don't know. Let's talk to Jimmy the Greek about what's proper and what isn't at a football game.
I imagine if you pay your way in, you're allowed to do what you
Do
want.
whatever
to,
you want.
providing that you stay within the realms of
Good taste.
good taste.
No
That's
smoke
true.
bombs.
No, that's true. There was one last night in
Yeah.
Washington. And anyway, I don't know why anybody would want to boo the Cardinals. They're the second best team in football.
Well, now you said that the other day, and I was going to ask you about that. You said the Cardinals were the second best game in football, second to Oakland.
Yeah. And then Oakland got beat by the Raiders, by San Diego. So according to that, then, does that make St. Louis the best team?
Well, we felt they were the best team in football for a number of years, but I don't want to do that here and now in this Blues program. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your predictions for the Cardinals, because a lot of us are optimistically packing our bags for the Super Bowl, and like that, we feel that the Cardinals, this could very easily be their year. We've had, as you mentioned before, we've had some injuries, and we've had them at the wrong times, the worst possible.
The wrong places.
Yeah, wrong places. All right, but let's get back now to Miss Blue's calls. Hello.
Yeah, I would like to direct my question toward Jimmy the Greek. I'd like to know what he thinks our division's going to turn up as in Dallas and the Cardinals and in Washington.
Okay, well, we're going to do that a little bit later, but right now I want some calls for Miss Blue. Hello?
Hi, Jack.
Yeah.
Got a question for Miss Blue, or maybe for you. I hope you can help me.
Well, if it has to do with romance, dear, you've come to the right team.
Well, it doesn't. It's an early holiday season question. I'll tell you what, I'm making an Advent wreath for my sister-in-law for Christmas.
An Advent wreath.
Yeah, you know, when you light a candle each Sunday of Advent.
Uh-huh.
And I need to know whether I should use 3 pink candles and 1 lavender, or 3 lavender candles and 1 pink.
Oh.
Can you answer it?
Who, me?
Yeah, either you or Miss Blue.
Oh. Well, Miss Blue, 3 pink and 1 lavender, 3 lavender and 1 pink.
Well, you know, I think it's a matter of choice.
Yeah.
And particularly, I like lavender and pink. I like
Yeah.
the 3 lavenders and the 1 pink, you
Oh,
know.
uh-huh.
See something a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't traditionally know the answer to that. Jimmy, I see you shaking your head. You're not going to enter into this one.
I'm colorblind.
Hello? Question for Miss Blue or Jimmy the Greek?
Miss Blue?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, here I am.
My other phone's taken care of. I'm
You're-
calling for a friend,
Huh?
and he had a nasty breakup with his fiancée a couple months ago, and the other day he got a wedding invitation from her. Now he wants to know what he should send her as a gift.
Oh. Oh. He was engaged to this girl,
Right.
and they broke up a few months ago.
Nasty breakup.
Nasty breakup. And now she's getting married,
Yeah.
and she made sure that he got an invitation.
Right.
That was a nice thought.
I thought so.
And he wants to know what to send.
Right.
Will he be sending it across a state line? Because that's important.
I'm not sure.
All right, well, let's see. We'll start with you, Miss Blue, and then Jimmy the Greek. What should the young man send to this young lady?
Well, the first thing he should do is get an engraved thank you card and send it to her, you know, for saving him the trouble, you know. So that's the first thing. I don't know what Jimmy would say,
Yeah.
but I think that would be the first thing.
Yeah.
Engraved thank
I
you
was
card.
thinking about a baby gift, but maybe that would be tasteless. What would you send, Jimmy?
Nothing.
Nothing? That's what I do. No cheap shots. Just pass it over, right?
That's right.
Show a little class and just ignore it completely.
The invitation was only sent in spite to begin with.
Sure was.
So that's the reason I said send an engraved thank you card.
Or else I'd invest a little money and rent a Hollywood starlet in 82, 22, 32 and take her to the wedding. Well, let's move along here, onward and upward. We've got time for one more question. Hello?
I don't want to give you a question. I just want to give you the answer. It's 3 purple and 1 pink candle for the Advent wreath.
3 purple and 1 pink.
Well,
Thank
that's
you.
what I said.
No, you said lavender.
Well,
Hello?
that's lavender and purple.
It's very light purple. Hello?
Good morning.
Good
I
mor-
have an answer for the lady with the Advent wreath.
3 purple and 1 pink.
Yes, that's the traditional way.
That's what the lady just told us. Thank you very much for calling. Hello?
I called Miss Blue around in May to explain that we were expecting a baby, and I was 35, and wondered how to deal with my friends when their eyebrows went up. Well, everything went fine, and we have a 2-month-old baby boy now, and everybody's crazy about him. And I was wondering how to get a little more help around the family with diapering.
Okay. Miss
Seems
Blue?
like whenever it's diapering time, it's go get mom the baby sweat, or go get mom the baby spit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just love him.
Otherwise, everything has gone swimmingly.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
beautiful, so to speak.
But how do you get a little more? Who is in the household now? I mean, how?
I've got a 14-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy and a husband that's up along in his years, too.
Yeah. And the boy and the girl take absolutely no interest in.
Oh, they love him, but not at diapering time.
Okay.
Should I just realize that if they help in other areas, this is mom's way to be cut out for life and motherhood?
That's right, and you're too old for that.
Oh, I tell you, as long as I'm staying up at night, I could use a little help with the diapering.
All right, well, that sounds like Miss Blue's department. What do you say, Miriam?
Well, yes, that is a problem that you have to, get over to the kids, especially. I mean, you don't worry your husband with it so much, but the 14-year-old and 9-year-old, you should take them in and teach them how to change the baby. That's the main trouble. They just don't know how.
When you remove his diaper, you put a diaper over him, don't you? I learned that from my son John. You always cover him with a diaper.
And have your powder and your baby oil and clean the baby and.
Sounds like you're making biscuits. Go ahead.
Anyway, it's good luck if he does anything else.
Yeah, it is?
Oh, yes.
Is that supposed to be good luck?
Absolutely.
I never knew that. Well, I think that did it, Miss Blue, for today. Our thanks to Jimmy the Greek and to you. Now, how about it? All is well for Goldie's department
and
store.
All is well.
We'll continue with Jimmy the Greek in just a minute. There comes a time in so many families when there's someone in the... Jimmy the Greek is here. It's also time for our sports capsule. You are concerned with the world of football, and I noticed that you never get the opportunity, Jim, to do the sports reporting that they do around you. You're kind of the featured, the star, and the crown.
Tell it like it is.
Huh? Right? Well, right. This is the place every day where I have to do the sports news. It's a very short one. You want to do it?
Why not?
Here.
There's only one problem.
What?
You're going to have to loan me your glasses.
Here.
Let's see what happens here.
They magnify.
That's great.
Okay?
Unbeaten Texas is number one again in the latest UPI college football ratings. The Longhorns received 35 first-place votes by the Board of Coaches. Oklahoma is second and Alabama third. Rose Bowl-bound Michigan has moved into fourth place ahead of Notre Dame and Arkansas. Ohio State slipped to seventh place after the loss to Michigan. Penn State is eighth, followed by Pittsburgh and Nebraska. The Washington Redskins kept their faint hope alive last night by holding on to a 10-9 win over the Green Bay Packers in the Monday night pro football game feature. New York Yankee coach Bobby Cox is expected to be named manager of the Atlanta Braves today. He will be named manager. I said that Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves called a news conference for this afternoon. Oakland A's owner, Charlie Finley, has ended 2 days of meetings with a prospective buyer for his club. Finley says only one condition must be met for the sale. All they have to do is put the money on the table, and they will have a team, says Finley. The A's would be moved to the Louisiana Superdome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You were sensational.
That's extra.
Would you like to come back and do that every day? You think they're going to move the A's?
Oh, yes. Providing they put the cash on the table.
Well, he just said that.
Not as much as anybody would think so, too. He would take a reasonable price for them, and that's a good place for them. If I were to buy a baseball team, that's where I would take it.
You would?
Oh, sure. You got the seats there, and you got the crowd, and you got the people.
You think about baseball go to Washington?
But I'd rather have it. Oh, definitely. I mean, after they're definitely wanted in Washington, but I'm talking about from a point of making money, it'd be better to take them to Louisiana.
If the A's leave the Bay Area, do you think that the Giants can become a profitable club again?
It sure would help them.
Yeah.
Providing that, the old man up there, Stoneham, I believe, is that his name?
Stoneham.
I would spend a few bucks to get a few ball players.
And they'd probably have to split their play and play part of the time in Oakland and part at Candlestick.
I doubt it. I doubt if they would do that. But Oakland has two great teams anyway. They have a great basketball team and without a doubt a great football team too. So consequently, they're well occupied.
Uh-huh.
But when a team doesn't support a baseball team that won the World Championship 2 or 3 times in a row, I mean, it's time to move.
Yeah, if you can't get support after that, there's nothing else you can do.
Well, he lost some players, He lost some players. And he fought to keep the prices down because the economics of sports, I mean, is going way, just way over the barrier.
Yeah.
I just don't see how they can survive.
Uh-huh. That's our sports capsule. Here's a word from Friendly Bob. Well, Jimmy, I guess what we're concerned about most of all here in St. Louis is the future of this season, the future of the St. Louis football Cardinals. And I can't think of anybody better qualified to give us well, you just said that the Cardinals were the second best team in football next to Oakland. And I think that's a heck of an admission in itself. What do you think? How do you see the remainder of the season going?
It favors the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, their remaining games are with teams that they should beat.
Yeah.
Dallas has, without a doubt, the harder schedule of the two remaining. The possibilities of the Cardinals winning the division title altogether are very good. They are hurt. They are hurt at that cornerback position, which is going to hurt them. And I'm sure that everybody will start picking on whomever they put in that one spot. Especially, it's on the right side, too, of the quarterback. And, you know, that's the way, when the center centers the ball to the quarterback, of course, the first vision of the quarterback is that particular side, too, which makes it bad, you know, which makes it worse, because more plays go to that side than the other side, you see, if he's a right-hander, definitely. So, but the Cardinals definitely have the edge, I think, to even win the division title. I mean, don't think that they can't win it. I mean, they can win the division title. I would say that it's almost a sure thing, you know, that they're in the playoffs. There's no question about it.
If it's a wild card team,
they're a heavy favorite. You know, like they're a 1-5 shot now.
I don't know if it's fair or not, or maybe it's a little paranoia for us football Cardinal fans, but we feel, a lot of us feel, that nationally, and I'm talking about on national television and on the games and so on, we feel that the Cardinals are continually being downgraded.
I don't think so.
No?
Not by me, anyway.
No, but I don't feel all the time that we get a fair shake.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else.
Yeah, but you're aware of what goes on.
Well, that's true. That's true, but I can only voice my own opinion. And as I said, when someone calls them the second best team in football, I don't think you're downgrading them.
No, not at all. I asked Joe Sullivan this morning if he thought the rosters ought to be enlarged a little bit. Now, we're scuffling around looking for a couple of players for some very important games. If we perhaps had 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 more men on the roster, we wouldn't be in this position today. We've had much bigger rosters. Joe said no, he doesn't think that the roster should be enlarged. Would you increase the size of the roster?
That's been an argument between the owners. You know, of course, those who are frugal want the roster smaller, and those who would rather win, with, you know, like Al Davis, for instance, I mean, wanted the rosters bigger. You got a bad break because you got hit in the same position twice, you see. I mean, had you lost a cornerback and then a lineman also, you know, or something like that, or it wouldn't have mattered so much, but you all got hurt in the same position, like the Raiders did last year, for instance. They lost 2 left tackles and 2 left ends, you know. A team doesn't get hurt unless they get hurt in the same place more than twice, and then that's when it hurts a whole lot. As far as I would like to see a bigger roster, like 2 more, you know, 2 or 3 more on a taxi squad maybe that they could bring up. It helps in a situation such as this.
Are there ways that teams that have a lot of money can fudge on that size of the roster, can hold guys out, can keep them out there and pay them under the table or whatever? I don't know. Are there ways that teams...
Well, I don't know of anything legitimate that's going on in football. Yeah. The game is too big, and the economics of it now are too great, I mean, for anybody to do anything wrong with. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, yes. I mean, kids were making $200-300 a ball game, you know, and there were maybe 8,000 people in the crowd, you know. But after television came on and exposed the football, which made it look like a Greco-Roman holiday, you know, in the old Coliseum with thumbs up and thumbs down, and a little bit of violence, plus the excitement of a pass and a punt return.
You see a little bit of violence. I think that the league is very concerned today with the violence factor. It seems to be getting worse.
What are they supposed to do? Be playing patty cake? I mean, what? I mean, you're supposed to hit out there. I mean, they're taught to hit. It's like going to war. They're taught to kill. Here, they're taught to hit. I mean, so there isn't any more hitting going on this year than any other year. It's just been exposed on Monday night on a few occasions, and the press has picked it up.
If it were up to you, if you had the power to do it, is there anything you'd change that would be for the good of the game from the spectator's point of view? The first thing that comes to my mind is the optional college play where you can go for the 2-point conversion. Would you like to see that in pro ball? Is there any...
Personally, I would, but it puts added pressure. I think the reason that they don't have it is they don't want added pressure on the coach to make that decision. The 2 things that I don't like, I mean, actually is the punt rule, you know, where the 2 men go down and you have penalty after penalty on a. I mean, that one to me is absolutely a horrible situation, and there's always a 3rd man down someplace. But they were trying to make it more exciting to give the punt return specialist a better chance of coming back. I don't think it's proved that. The second one, a second rule that I think would make it more exciting too would be if the receiver of a pass could keep 1 foot in instead of 2. I think that would open it up. That would open it up a little bit too. I mean, now you would have a lot more passes, a lot more receptions, and a lot more scores.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the kick rule. I mean, where they lose the point, you know, if you kick from a certain distance. They penalize the kicker tremendously, you know, by bringing the loss of the yardage, where so many used to kick no matter from where they were,
Mm-hmm.
and you had more kicks blocked actually, you know, because they tried more kicks.
Mm-hmm.
And actually the kickoff, a kick is one of the beauties of the game, I think. Look at yesterday. I mean, you had extra points kicked. Punt was blocked in the Bear game. You know, I mean, that's where the excitement is. The lineman picks up the ball and runs it for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put more scores on the board. They've got to open it up.
Yeah, I don't think the fans enjoy a 3-0 or a 6-3 football game.
Well, the game was 10-9 last night. The game was 10-9 last night. But well, I love professional football, and it's pretty hard for me not to like almost any game. But I enjoyed the game last night. I thought Starr and his kids did a good job, and the old men did a good job hanging on too.
What about adding another timeout?
It would help the Redskins.
Well, we'll get back to Jimmy the Greek in just a minute. Probably everywhere. That's the Tanner.
You know, I believe everything you've said.
I hope you do, Jimmy, because I wouldn't. You believe me, I wouldn't even stretch.
No wonder you got 40% of the not the viewing, the listening audience. I apologize. My apologies.
A lot of people are watching their radios. I don't mind that. How did you get started in this? How did you get started in sports and things like that?
Well, I had to eat.
Yeah, but I mean, was it a hobby to start with?
Yeah, a hobby to make a living. I was born in a town called Steubenville, Ohio.
Sure.
Know? And
Dean Martin's from Steubenville.
Yeah, we went to school together.
Is that right?
Yeah, Dean and I were very closely acquainted.
Yeah.
The reason why I say acquainted is because we were kids in the same alley together, and
Yeah.
he was always captain of the one side, and I was the captain of the other side. We were never close.
Yeah.
Although we're very close now. And it was a steel town, coal, you know, and consequently it was a wide open town. And I was exposed to gambling at a very early age. In fact, one of the cliches of my storytelling is that I was 25 before I found out that gambling was illegal, you know. But it was wide open, and consequently, I was exposed to it. And I found out early that if I researched and studied and analyzed the game, maybe that it spent more time on it, that the other fella didn't necessarily have to be right. I could come up with a better number. And I was successful with it. It just grew. I mean, from betting $5 to 20 to 100, and then more and more and more. And I was very successful with it. But I quit gambling in 1961, and went into public relation work and writing for the newspapers, working for Dutch Master Cigars and a few other things.
Well, a lot of us who I've never bet a nickel on a ball game in my life, hang on your every word, because it doesn't have to be backed up with your money.
No, not anymore.
No.
For me either. I mean, to be right or to hit the game on the nose in the newspaper, because I know we're in the newspaper here, I believe the Post-Dispatch. I mean, hitting the number. In other words, if I made the Cardinals, we'll say 6 over Miami this week, I would love to see the game come 20-14. See, now the odds against me doing that are about 30-1, but we will hit like 1 out of 9 out of it. So, and then the rest of the games, 50% will go over the number and 50% will go under the number.
You mean that your season average would be 50%? You'd be higher than 50%.
No. You see, you misunderstood it. Not all. As far as making the favorite, our average would be about 80. A poor year would be 79%. A good year would be like 82 or 83.
That's not with a point spread, though. Just the winner.
No. We the point spread is definitely for us is to hit the game on the nose, and then to see what percentage of games go over the number and what percentage of the games go under the number, and as close to 50% as possible. I mean, of course, makes it a successful year.
But it's fun, isn't it? You like it?
I adore it. I mean, I've been doing it for 42 years. I mean, and, you know, I can't remember. And can you remember anybody else?
No.
I would say that we exposed the world to odds to a certain extent. We've had a lot.
Is there anybody else doing it?
Well, there are 275 services around the United States today who sell opinions,
Yeah.
you know, and tips and things like that.
Nobody of your magnitude, nobody that's become a household word.
Well, they haven't been. I'm like George Burns, you know. I've been around so long that everybody believes me when I say we have great credibility only because we've been around so long.
But you've also been right. You've been
I
successful.
hope so.
If you'd been wrong all that time, I don't think we'd believe you.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. I mean, I'll go along with that.
All right. Jimmy the Greek is here at the office here in St. Louis. Jimmy,
How much
we're on
are
it.
they?
What?
How much are the condominiums?
They start about 42, right
That's
in that
about-
area, and they're right on the lake. It's gorgeous. Have you ever been to the Lake of the Ozarks?
I heard about it. I think it's very pretty.
You know, people here years ago used to travel all over the country to vacation, and now with gasoline shortage and stuff like that, we're staying closer to home, and we're rediscovering that 2.5 hours from here we have one of the most beautiful parts of the world.
There's no question about it.
Listen, we're out of time. I want to thank you. Again, this is Cigar Month. You're a cigar smoker, aren't you?
Dutch Masters.
I knew you'd say that. Yeah, this is Cigar Month, and the Marcus Candy and Cigar people have brought Jimmy into town. Is this your first visit to our city?
Oh, no, I've been here many times.
Yeah. Well, I want you to enjoy this visit. I want to thank you for coming in,
Thank you for asking.
and I hope you'll come back next time you're in town.
I shall.
And thanks to the Marcus Candy and Cigar people, too. That was very, very nice of them rushing you over here from the airport. He's in the Globe Democrat? I know that. We mentioned that earlier. Bill, if you'd pay attention, Bill said Jimmy's also in the Globe Democrat. Yes, we mentioned that. What? Oh, we said the Post. You're in the Globe Democrat. I want to say I'm in the Globe
Oh,
Democrat.
my gosh.
That's all right. Thank you, Bill. Bill Glass is saying that. The Enterprise Paint People Road. Again, thanks to Jimmy the Greek. I'm Jack Carney. 11 o'clock, KMOX, St. Louis.